Make a V with 2 logs, and then you make your fire in the V. And the V gives you a cooking platform to put a fry pan on, or a pot or pan or kettle or whatever. Right, once you get the fire going really good, lots of coals, move the coals all into the center here. It's the ideal fire where you're on a trail and you want to cook something and you want a controlled situation, but you don't want to put a lot of work into it. Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Cheap. Just out in the woods hiking around looking for some new spots for hunting and stuff, and getting pretty hungry. It's around 1:30 in the afternoon, so it's way past my feeding time. And I had viewers ask me to make some of these old-fashioned FireLays, old-school FireLays. And today's the perfect sort of situation where I could make what's called a hunter's FireLay. So I'm going to show you what, since I'm doing that, I thought I'd show you that setup. The trick is to find some sort of log like that, and that's a log that I'm guessing it's the top of that dead spruce or fir tree, whatever it was, or pine. Maybe, I don't think it was a pine tree. Ideally, it's a log you can just break in half by just stomping on it. I'm going to try that, and if I can't, I have to saw it in half with my folding saw. So let me get to work with that, and then I'll catch up with you at the next stage. All right, so the idea behind the hunter's fire is that you make a V with 2 logs, and then you make your fire in the V. And the V gives you a cooking platform to put a fry pan on, or a pot or pan or kettle or whatever. Right, you can just feed it up into the V. You can adjust the width of the V. Right, once you get the fire going really good, lots of coals, you can concentrate. You can just move the coals all into the center here. It's protected for the wind. Actually, realize the wind's coming from that direction, so I have to turn this around. Because the idea behind this is that it blocks the wind a little bit, right? So it's the ideal fire where you're on a trail and there's no fire pit anywhere, and you want to cook something and you want a controlled situation, but you don't want to put a lot of work into it. I mean, this log didn't break in half easily. I had to cut it about 1/3 of the way through and break it. It took like a minute, right? So it wasn't that big a deal, right? So the advantage of this is that you get all the pluses of a hearth, right? An actual fireplace, without without needing a fireplace. You just use something. This doesn't have to be good wood. This doesn't have to burn. I'm sure it'll start burning, but this is completely waterlogged. You can just tell when I was cutting it, it's got ice in it and that sort of thing. That doesn't matter. What I'm burning is the actual stuff I'm going to gather, right? The inside of these will turn black and they'll start to burn a little bit, but this here wood does not have to be good wood. The purpose of this is that it blocks the wind and it controls the heat, concentrates the heat, and gives you a cooking platform. That's the purpose of it. I'm going to reverse this around. Go gather some sticks and twigs and stuff like that. There's all kinds of stuff kicking around the woods here. No big deal, right? To gather what I need, I should be able to do everything with my bare hands. And then we'll get a fire going. See you in a little bit here. I did a video recently about starting fires with Bic lighters, and you know, how you need to have something dry to light a fire. And everything I've gathered here, this is all gathered within 10 feet of this fireplace, just off the lower branches of trees. So I did a video recently about starting fires with Bic lighters, and how one of the key things is to have something that lights really easily, so you don't have to hold the lighter on for any amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be all the time you need to get something going, to get your initial really fine kindling going. Now I got some kindling here, and I got some different kinds of fuel woods here. These are all kind of dry, not 100% dry. I don't think any of these will take a flame from a Bic lighter or from any other thing either, a match or whatever, unless you had a blowtorch or something. So that's the best I got. I don't think it's good enough. But I mentioned in that video that you can always find something if you know what you're doing. I mean, some of this inner bark here, that looks pretty papery. That might do. I don't know. Feels like it would, actually. On my hands, it feels very dry. So that's a possibility. And that was off of this tree right here. The very tree that I got those 2 logs from. I noticed, just probing around with my knife, some of it's fairly dry. But there's some better stuff right over here. Right here we got, kind of a situation. Dead tree, but it's still up off the ground. And this really, really fine stuff, right? These are like 1/3 the diameter of matchsticks, right? So that's what you're looking for. It's not I mean, you know, so many of these videos, it's like, oh, you gotta have fat wood, you gotta have this. It's like, no, you gotta have some sort of wood that's really thin, right? You want to have a high combination. You want to have, what you want is a lack of density. You want air and wood, right? So this is hard to do with one hand, so I'm gonna kill the camera. But I'm gonna gather a bird's nest of this stuff because it's very fine, and this will take a match, right? And it's not down on the ground, it's up about 4 feet off the ground underneath a canopy. So I'm gonna gather a bunch of this and then we'll get the fire going. All right, so my hands are getting pretty cold now. I think it's around -7 or -10 or something like that today. That's Celsius. So it could get a lot colder. That's not too bad. As cold goes, that's not too bad. But it is, you only get so much time to use your hands. So I put a bunch of twigs and sticks on the ground to sort of make a dry, flammable floor. Now I got these here. I just hold the lighter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Is it going? I think it's going. You can see by all that smoke that it's not 100% dry, but it's close enough. All right, we got it going. All right, now I'll put this stuff there, which I thought was kind of marginal. I can put this stuff across. I want to get everything else on the fire, everything else drying off. All right, again, this is just a quickie trail fire, right? We're not frigging around, we're not searching the forest for fat wood and all this other stuff, right? Now see how quickly that's going? All right? Didn't have to do any work, right? I just plucked these branches off the, these just came off the lower ends of trees. You can see I'm throwing it all on haphazardly here because I'm just trying to create a big pile of embers and stuff. I'll stuff everything down into that V in a, you know, after about 5 minutes or so, once it's burned down a bit, right? The main goal here is to just get all the wood on there, get everything burning, let the heat force the moisture out of these branches. I mean, they're fairly dry. Wouldn't be burning this well if they weren't. But nothing's 100% dry in this situation. We had rain last week. We got snow all the time this time of year, right? A few weeks ago, everything here was covered in snow. Break that open. But again, to reiterate, no need for batoning, no need for any of that stuff, right? We've got a variety of materials here we're throwing on the fire. This stuff we can find easily. Alright, that should be good. I'll put my lighter away. Shouldn't have thrown that on the floor, it's just I was filming. So I wanted to just show, you know, the urgency of getting everything on it right away to get the fire going. Alright, so now I'm just gonna get my food ready, get my water ready and all that sort of stuff. While that burns down, I thought I'd show you this neat little thing I made very recently. So this is one of these world famous haversacks. Supposed to go over your shoulder. You can get these at any Army Navy store, online or whatever. I've never been comfortable carrying this over my shoulder. It's always moving around, it's irritating. So what I did was I cut the shoulder strap in half. And you can get these on Amazon, you can get them at, there's lots of different stores that sell these things, these clips, right? So I just cut the strap in half, attached it to these clips. Now I can put it around my waist like a fanny pack. But it's a big pouch, right? So it could be used as a game bag, you know, if you're bird hunting or rabbit hunting or something like that. You probably get 2 or 3 rabbits in there, maybe. Yeah, these are much, you know, it's bigger than it looks. Anyway, my lunch is in here today. All right, so just instead of having to carry a backpack, it's just a very, you know, instead of having something against your back and getting all sweaty, you can have this around your waist. It's not putting any weight on your shoulders. Keeps your bum kind of warm, to tell you the truth. Instead of having, I've got a metal water bottle here and a metal cup. And instead of having that against your back, which is not, you know, against your spine and stuff like that, it's not the most comfortable thing. you have it against your butt, which has got a little bit of padding depending on how you put it together. Yeah, I'm trying out this for the first time today. I'm really happy with it. You can get these things for next to nothing, you know. This one's really old. This one's probably 30 years old. Still going strong, but I don't use it because I don't find it comfortable. So this solved that problem. Fire's really going now. I haven't done anything to it, but I had to move the camera from where it was sitting because it was just too close to the flame. I had to reposition it somewhere. But yeah, we get a heck of a fire going now. I don't think I'm going to have any trouble. All I'm going to do is boil some water to make tea, and I'm going to I got a couple peanut butter bananas sandwiches. Good enough for Elvis is good enough for me. Just going to heat them by the fire because I like the sort of toasted bread when I'm on the trail. Alright, so I got my metal water bottle just sitting there heating up over the coals. I've moved all the coals up with a stick into this corner, right? But just to show you the versatility, if I wanted to boil water in something like this, see, I can just set it there. I've got that platform, right? So it gives you those options, and you can make it wider, make it narrower. Actually, I just changed the width of it recently, because it was a little bit too wide for supporting my water can there. But yeah, that works perfectly fine too, and it doesn't smother the fire. You see, the air can still get underneath whatever you're heating, right? So it works just fine. And you just move the coals around to where you want them, right? You make the fire go where you want the fire. Instead of bringing your bottle to the fire, you bring the fire to the bottle, or the pot or the can, or whatever you're trying to heat. Alright, so I got my sandwich there toasting over the fire. Got the water almost boiled. Just needs another minute or so. This setup, it's not ideal for heating water in a water can like this. It's better set up for fry pans and pots and things like that. You can use it for this, like I have, right? You just set it up like that in the bend there. But it really comes into its own when you've got a pot, a flat bottom pot, because it has all that surface exposure, right, to get the heat to it. But yeah, this is a great little setup for a fire. You saw how quickly it went up, and that's partly because you're controlling. I mean, there's a decent breeze where I am right here. There's right over there, there's a kind of big open area with a I don't know what you'd call that, pond, I guess, bog, pond, swamp, whatever you want to call that. So there's a breeze coming off of that, and you can see the smoke's going in one direction, right? But because I got these two logs here down in there, I got all kinds of heat. This is ideal for a cooking fire, a simple cooking fire. I wonder what state how the sandwich, look at that. Just like a perfect grill situation. These sticks here are green from some, I don't know what kind of tree it was, but something green, right? So they don't burst into flame, but there's like really good heat right there. You can see the coals down there, right? Nice red coals. And I can hear, I don't know if you can hear that, but the water's boiling. So just at the time my sandwich is ready, my water's ready, I'm going to make my tea, have a nice lunch. Just a note on the finer points of setting up a campfire lunch. You want to have a nice place to sit. I use a couple spruce boughs so my butt doesn't get wet. A lot easier than bringing in a seat. And I chose, you can tell it's about the right height, the chair height for me to sit. I chose this spot because it was next to that nice spot to sit, right? And the place I'm sitting is a good stride away from the fire, so the smoke isn't drawn up towards me in some sort of vacuum action. And of course, My sandwiches, everything was wrapped in a handkerchief, so I can just put them on the ground on a handkerchief. These things don't matter so much, but if you're taking your kids, or more importantly your spouse, a little bit of cleanliness makes the whole thing a little more attractive. Also just keeps your food off the ground, right? So I think my tea's steeped now, looking pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna have lunch. All right, that was a great little lunch, and I am completely fortified now. I'm ready for the hike out. So this is one of my go-to fires if I want something quick and easy to set up, and I don't want to have to mess around on the trail, that sort of thing. If you're in the right situation where you've got a fallen log like that, the advantage of this FireLay is that it concentrates the heat, it controls the flow of air, and it controls the wind. It gets the wind under control when you're initially getting it going, right? And then because it's horizontal, you can put your pots on it, you can get them going. You can always add more fuel to adjust the intensity of the fire, that sort of thing, if you want it low for toasting things, or if you want it as high as possible to get things boiling and cooking. That's all up to you in terms of how you want to adjust it and what kind of woods you want to use to get that fire going. It should hold up to cook an entire meal, like if you're cooking some trout, that sort of thing. I don't recommend this FireLay for when fire conditions are high, like forest fire conditions are high to me, or like summer, sometimes spring, sometimes fall, depending on where you are and the risk of forest fire, because you've got to extinguish this whole thing before you leave. To me, this is a good winter fire, when it's really cold and the ground's just saturated with frost and snow and that sort of thing, and there's no risk of forest fire. That's where this fire comes in handy, right? It's so good at holding the heat. This is not a campfire for like heating yourself at night. There's better FireLays for that. This is for cooking a meal. You're going to sit down, you're going to take a break for half an hour, something like that, depending on how hard you've been going at it and who you're with. You just want a really nice cooking fire, so you don't have to mess around. Ideal for pots and pans. Gets going really easily because it controls the wind, controls the heat, and concentrates the heat. The great thing about this as well is if you kick it apart and stomp it out properly, again in the winter when there's a risk of fires are low, like these logs can be used again and again. If you have a spot on a trail where you come by, let's say you're checking snares, or you're just going on some big long hike and you do it more than once, or year after year even, right? You can use these over and over again. You can get a few uses out of them depending on how long you have the fire going, right? And when they're black like this, they're actually better for fire, right? Black wood is always better for getting fires going and that sort of thing. So I've done it once. If I'm here again, I can use it again, right? So it's a multi-use setup. Anyway, I'm gonna go just kick this out, kick it around, get some snow on it, get this out, and then hike out of the woods. Yeah, Hunter's Fire, really handy FireLay for certain kinds of situations. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, enjoy the outdoors on the cheap. Thanks for watching.